Hello everyone! If you are watching this video, then you know this is video number 8 in the Power of Listening series, where we help give you the understanding and the tools to be an amazing active listener. And by now, on video number 8, you probably are saying, wow, it takes a lot of work to be a great active listener. And that is so true. And it takes a lot of practice. Now, in the last video, we ended with saying that one tool that will help you to be a great active listener and to have good conversation is the power of asking questions to better understand someone. Now, Albert Einstein knew this before any of us did. And Albert Einstein said, if I had an hour to solve a problem and my life depended on the solution, I would spend the first 55 minutes determining the proper questions to ask. For once I know the proper question, I could solve the problem in less than 5 minutes. Far too many people focus on having the right answer instead of trying to uncover what the right question is. And we talked about this before. Being educators, we naturally want to give answers. We naturally want to seek the information that they're giving us and say, oh, I have the answer for that. I can solve that. We're like superheroes in disguise, always trying to solve the problems in front of us. But that gets in the way of us being the great active listeners. Asking the right questions is not asking a question to be able to say that you're right or to be able to give your information. Asking the right question is about understanding the person in front of you. It creates this back and forth dialogue where you're in that curiosity mindset saying, oh my gosh, tell me more about that. And they're going, okay, I'll tell you more. And then you're like, oh, and what about this? And they're like, oh, let me tell you about this. We've had those conversations before, and those feel so good. This is where amazing energy flows back and forth. A lot of creativity happens during these times, and it allows the person to not feel judged. It allows them to feel comfortable to share their story. Remember, this entire series is about being an active listener, but we're not just being active listeners so that we can get our way and have people hear our stories. We're being active listeners so that we can better understand and connect with the people that we're communicating with. That's what it's all about. So we want to make sure that we're asking the right questions.
Like Christina said, when we are actively listening, the purpose of actively listening is not finding the right information that aligns with something we're trying to teach someone or share with them. It's about the person that is sitting right in front of us that we're having the conversation with. Now, the same principles are going to apply to asking questions. It's not about what questions can we ask that are going to guide in a direction that we want to go, but more so, what questions can we ask that are going to honor that person that we're talking to give them that sense of belonging, to allow them to share factors that are important to them, beliefs that are important to them, experiences that are important to them. And so we want to ask questions that are going to give that platform to be able to openly share, and also give that platform to make them feel comfortable, to let them know that what they're sharing with us is not rooted in judgment. It's not, seeking out information to be able to kind of guide based on that. So it's really developing an understanding on a neutral platform from that person. So what we can do, the first thing is ensuring that we're asking open-ended questions, right? That's going to be the best way to continue to exchange information, is giving them the opportunity to continue speaking if there hits a lull in conversation. Now, I know we're talking about being the best active listeners, but conversations do require questions as well. If there's a pause in conversation, we don't want to just sit there and I'm being a great active listener, I'm not going to say anything. That would make it awkward really fast. So there's going to be those chances for the conversation to be handed to us, and we want to be able to hand it right back in a meaningful way. And so asking open-ended questions such as, that's interesting. What led you to that? Tell me more. Oh, I'm really wondering. Walk me through. Those are some great prompts for open-ended questions that you can then tailor towards the conversation that you're having with the person. Now, the second part to asking a great question is making sure that we're mindful in how we ask the question. So a lot of the questions start with who, what, when, why, how, right? Well, when we ask questions that start with why, we can get really defensive, pretty quickly, because it sounds like it's more of a judgment than a caring, thoughtful question.
Well, think of the question that you just asked. Like, what led you to that? You can say, why did you have that conclusion? Like, why is that your assumption? Like, why did you come to that? Like, it does not feel the same at all.
Right. We've all had that moment where our boss walks in and they're like, oh, why did you do this? And we're just like, oh my
Oh,
gosh,
what
why
did
did
I
I do
do?
what? And we go into panic mode. But it's not because anything bad happened. It's just the question started with a why. They may have been ecstatic about what we did.
Mm-hmm.
But it all falls down to how is it that we frame the question. So if we can lead more towards a what or a how, that's going to have the biggest impact towards allowing someone to have that neutral platform. How did you end up researching that information? You know, what led you to believe that, or what led you to that conclusion? I find that if we kind of tee it up with a few words before it, it can be even more impactful describing how we're feeling towards it. So that's really interesting. What led you to that?
Yes.
Sometimes if we don't put those pre-words in there, it can still come across as a little bit judgmental. And so just letting them know that we're curious, we're interested, and that we want them to continue to share. So the combination of using what and how, and then ensuring that they're open-ended questions really gives that platform.
Now you can see that leading up to this point, all the previous videos help you to gain the understanding of what gets in the way. Because these questions would never even happen if we're not being an active listener. We would just go right to that fact book, right to the way of getting the information that I need to get to the conclusion as quickly as possible. That is how our brains are wired. So it takes a lot of practice. But make sure that you review every single one of these videos. In the next video, we're going to help you, okay, I promise. We're going to put it all together and really culminate it so that you get a great understanding of what it takes to be an active listener, what gets in the way, and how you can overcome it.